Alright guys, welcome. Today's a bit of a different video, but it wouldn't do justice if I don't address the number one thing which has changed my life to the better. I would say in the past 14 months, ever since I took my faith more intentionally. So I have to address this because I'm sure there's people out there who could relate, and hopefully I could influence someone out there who is hesitant or not sure about the importance of faith. And by the way, I want to clear this up from now. It doesn't matter what religion you come from, it is all the same in terms of the outcome which I'm addressing in this video, which is having faith to empower you so that in the hard times you wouldn't feel weak, but rather you would change the narrative that this is a challenge to create a hero. You know what I mean? So, this is a very important mental mind frame you should have because there's no hero out there that you watch any movie out there. There's no hero which is made with good things happening to them. It's always really bad things happening to them, and then that forms or that grows them into the final 1% version of themselves. So, what do I mean by following your faith? I have made a few videos in the past, so if you've been watching my bootcamp, for example, you would know that organic dropshipping requires a lot of discipline, a lot of patience in particular, and some could some may call this delusion. You need a lot of delusion to actually make it work with organic dropshipping because it's not like an overnight success. You need a lot of stars to align before you could actually pull it off and make 10k plus a month. So that's why you need faith. So, particularly for myself, I'm an Orthodox Christian, and a lot of like from experience, I see a lot of people who are lukewarm, including myself. So it's been over 14 months where I've been very intentional about myself, about my faith, and there's only positive things that happened out of this change. You know, so I have made a previous video which was talking about discipline, how to make hard things look easy or feel fun for you. I have struggled for 2 years just to make the hustle seem fun. So I've tried everything, literally everything. I've tried putting music in the background. I've tried creating FOMO in my head. Like literally pulling, there's like a world timer. It shows how many like X things happening in real time. I've tried everything you could think of to create FOMO so that I could force myself to work harder and faster, like urgency. And nothing worked, okay? Until I made this one change, which is becoming more intentional, aka cutting all the noise. You have to remember, we're living in a world of noise, world of sin, a lot of like bad influence happening. So you need to navigate through that negative energy and find what works for you or what positive like influences you positively. So keep that in mind next time you face any sort of temptations or you have any sort of ideas of that may like take you away from your goals. Try to center everything around your goals and around your faith. So it's crazy because everything is linked. So if you are faithful, that means you are disciplined. In particular, what worked the best for me was in terms of stress. So obviously, the more you improve your life, the more stress is gonna come with it, right? It's really known out there. Like the more money, the more problems. So for that reason, I really think faith is like the number one underlying factor or principle that will be required. It's not really optional at this point. It's required for you to actually become successful. Look at most people out there who are successful. They always have some sort of belief system, which accompanies uh, their hard times. So whenever they have a hard time, there has to be an opposite force, which makes sure that these hard times don't make you collapse. You know what I mean? So that opposite force has to be coming from faith to make sure that you look at the long term that okay, I'm facing this stress right now, but in the long term it's all going to be okay. I'm going to overcome this obstacle and so on. So in other words, someone might call this being delusional. But in reality, if you think about it, if you do everything right, you only do good things to others, you don't sin, you make sure that you're as disciplined, stoic as possible, and you do the right things. So in this circumstance or in this scenario, you're creating as much content, you're posting as much content, and you're just testing as many products as possible until you find your winner. Then how could you lose? You know? So the faith is actually gonna make sure that you are gonna work enough and for long enough until it pays off. So faith is gonna give you this long-term vision that's gonna pay off in the future, but also it's gonna accompany the hard work. Okay, so I want to make this clear. You cannot just be faithful and not put in the work. Faith accompanies your work, so you need to work hard. Okay, and then believe that it's gonna pull off. You're gonna pull it off in the end, and that way you're gonna actually win. So from experience, this is the number one reason why things have gone forward this year in comparison to last year. And I'll probably keep moving forward like I am right now by following the same principles. So I've been way more disciplined, but I'm not perfect. There's a lot of things to fix. I have a total of like 12 hours uptime on my two phones, and I think maybe 8 are actually productive, maybe 3. That's actually a lot of time thinking about it. Why do I have 4 hours of average? 12 hours of average per day. I think it's 8 to 9 hours just either looking for content, editing, and posting, obviously, because I'm posting on like 10 accounts. And then I would say 2 to 3 hours are being wasted just scrolling. But yeah, organic dropshipping is a different game. It does require you to have some uptime on social media to see what's going on, what's the trends, and so on. So yeah, it really did change how I perceive things. Like before going into organic dropshipping, I did not even have TikTok. I never went into like scrolling short form content because I was too busy streaming on Twitch. But yeah, ever since I got into organic dropshipping, I did have to sacrifice a few things, which is like my focus span to like scroll 5 hours a day to find products. But now I am becoming more disciplined and I have my winners, so I don't have to scroll as much anymore. But I don't want to divert too much away from it, but I'm just saying this in case you guys are into dropshipping as well, so that you can find the linkage between believing and actually working. And obviously this applies to any business model out there. You need to basically contain your stress, and you need to it's two things, okay? Believing gives you two superpowers. One is to handle stressful situations, and two is to have a long-term vision that you're gonna create the most extraordinary things out there, like things which you would share with other people and they would laugh at you. You know what I mean? So these things, you would rather keep them to yourself and to God rather than sharing it with others, because what you're doing by sharing it to others is you're limiting your belief system to what they would react to. So whether they react well to it, you would be motivated. If they react negatively to it, you would be collapsed. So I would adopt a more stoic mindset. I would do it regardless of what they say. And actually, I want to link it to another thing, which is a trick to give you ultimate motivation. I don't know if I've mentioned this before on my channel, but actually don't be afraid of saying things. So you could actually share your goal out there. So let's say you want to make 100K next month. Okay. Obviously, it's going to require a lot of work, but when you say it, you're going to actually gather a lot of attention around it. And this attention could actually be positive. You might have people who are rooting for you. Even if they are not rooting for you and then you pull it off, they're going to root for you at the end of the day. So, in other words, no attention is bad attention. Obviously, there's like a few exceptions out there, but if you have the courage to speak out there of your goals, and then regardless of what others say, you do it, and then if you actually, you know, pull it off, they're gonna actually, like, it's gonna change your life basically, because the people who rooted for you, they're gonna root for you more, and the people who didn't root for you, they're actually gonna either root for you more, or they're gonna talk more about you, which is gonna boost your algorithm. So I'm trying to keep things in context here, but this is really important because you wouldn't have the courage to speak out these things that you want to do if you didn't believe in yourself. And believing in yourself is actually an extension of you believing in God, because that's where you gain your strength and power from. So, in extension, that's why I mentioned this. It's really important to have this linkage for you to actually create and make a change in this world. So, hopefully, you guys understood the importance of faith with work. And this is probably my first time ever mentioning this, because this was actually the one fundamental factor which has changed everything for me. And I'm sharing this honestly to link with other people who are like this and to influence others, because this is important. And again, this doesn't matter, like, it doesn't matter what religion, it's just about the same principle of faith and using it to fuel your, you know, your work and your life. So thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Peace out.